alternate picking, sweeping, and tapping. Today you're gonna learn to combine all of them. Okay, so here we're combining both alternate picking and tapping. So let's go over this lick exercise and understand the right way to combine these two. So we're starting this lick playing the E major scale backwards. And then we have this maneuver. So we're going down a pentatonic scale here using hummers, and then we reach the first string where we're going to involve both hummers and pull-offs. And this is the biggest secret to adding tapping to any alternate picking run. When we want to involve a tap in our run, we don't simply just alternate pick everything and then add the tap, like so. While you obviously can do it, it's super sloppy and slow. So in this lick, before we tap, we have this maneuver. But what we're going to do is hummer it and then pull off back. And this gives us time to take our right hand, the picking hand, off the picking position and into a tapping position. So it's going to look like this. Now, in order to practice this, you can find a lot of great exercises in my Patreon, but I'll show you a great and super easy exercise right now. So we're going to pick two notes on the B string. And now I chose a 9 and 12. Then we're going to pick one more note on the E string. I'm going to pick 9 as well here. Then we're going to hammer the next note on the E string as well. Tap, and pull off, and then do everything all over again. So it's going to look like this. A bit faster. And if you really want to crank up that speed, that's where you involve two hummers. So we're going to pick, hammer. So it'll sound like this. So far, this is what we've learned. Okay, the next part is this. So now we're involving another tapping pattern. So we're going to start by playing this basic pattern. And then we're going to move to the B string using a hammer. So we're going to hammer with our third finger. And that's it, that's the pattern. So we're going to do this 3 times. So we're playing this pattern on the pentatonic, and you can even play it all the way through. But that's for you to play around with it. And right after this tapping sequence, we go back to alternate picking. And just like how we transition from alternate picking to tapping using hummers and legatos, this is exactly what we do when transitioning back from tapping to alternate picking. So this means that at the end of this sequence is a hammer that gives us time to go back with our pick to a picking position and start alternate picking. That's how you transition from alternate picking to tapping and backwards as well. Okay, so we're going to talk about transitioning from alternate picking to sweeping and back. So this lick starts off like this. And that's just a straightforward alternate picking small run. But after this enters the sweeping pattern. So we have this. Okay, so let's talk about this transition for a second. You see, sweeps are more shape-based, I call it, as opposed to pattern-based. So if we go back and look at the tapping pattern we just learned in the previous lick, you can take this pattern, change its fingerings and its position to create different sounds. But that's not the case with sweeping. When you sweep, you have only one shape and you usually know only one way to play it fluidly and correctly to the best of your capabilities. Now obviously you can take the shape and alter it, but then you have a different shape. So this means that if I want to play this shape, I need to start it with my pinky. And if I were to start it with a different finger, let's say my third finger, it would be harder and I might play it wrong. What is certain though is that my ability to play it will reduce drastically. And this is exactly where it connects to transitioning from alternate picking to sweeping. So right at this transition point where we start to play the actual sweep, this is where we need to make sure that our fingerings align with the way we know how to play this shape. So right at the end of this first alternate picking run, there's a few chromatic notes. And if you look back at the lick, you'll see that I don't play these notes with my first, second, and third fingers, but with my pinky instead of my third finger. And this is to make sure that when I start this sweep, the correct fingering will ensue. Okay, right at the end of this sweep, this is where we transition back from sweeping to alternate picking. And the easiest way to do this is by easing in. So when we finish this sweep, we're not going to instantly shred using alternate picking. Instead, we're going to use our left hand to add some hammer-ons or pull-offs. And this will give our picking hand some time to reset, reposition, and start alternate picking again. Obviously, you can start alternate picking right after your sweep, but I'm teaching you the most fluid and easy way. So this is what we get. A sweep into a hammer and a pull-off. And then we start to incorporate our right hand. After this, we're doing basically the same thing but on a different position. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, now that we've learned how to combine alternate picking with tapping and alternate picking with sweeping, let's learn how to combine them all. So this lick starts with alternate picking, and right after this we start sweeping, but not 5 string sweeps, but 3 string sweeps this time. So this is the sweep we're going to focus on. And this one. And if you don't know 3 string sweeps yet, you can check out this video where we go over that topic. So this entire lick, we're going to stay in only one position. We're going to start with alternate picking, and then transition to sweeping just as we learned, as we have the fingering correctly aligned. So we start the down sweep. And right here at the end of this sweep, we're going to end it with a hammer. If you usually up pick this is where you need to hammer instead of up pick, because just as we said, the transition from alternate picking, or sweeping in this case, but it's really the same, to tapping requires our left hand to hammer or to pull off, so we can take our right hand, our picking hand, off the picking position and onto a tapping position. So we finish the sweep with a hammer, and then our right hand is right at the fretboard ready to tap the next note. After the tap, we're going to pull off and then pull off again and end the sweep. And we play the sweep into a tap again. Now, as we said when transitioning from sweeping to alternate picking, the easiest way is to involve a hammer or a pull off right before we start to alternate pick. And this is where your sweeping technique really comes to play. So this last note, right before we start to play this whole lick again, can be either up-picked or hammered. The easiest way to start this lick again would be to hammer this note and then start the alternate picking. So we have this. And these are the easiest and most simple ways to combine and transition between techniques.